Doctor, Lisa Park had been working alone in the Deep Space Research Station for 3 months when everything changed. The station floated quietly at the edge of known space, far from Earth and far from any other human settlement. Most days, Lisa spent her time studying strange signals from distant stars, looking for signs of life beyond their solar system. On that particular Tuesday morning, Lisa was drinking her coffee and checking the overnight readings when her computer started beeping. Like crazy. The sound was different from anything she had heard before. It wasn't the usual quiet ping of cosmic radiation or the steady hum of passing asteroids. This was urgent, almost like someone was crying for help. Lisa rushed to her main screen and couldn't believe what she was seeing. There was a massive object moving through space, but it wasn't like any human ship she had ever seen. The vessel was beautiful and strange, made of what looked like crystal and metal twisted together in impossible shapes. But something was terribly wrong with it. Pieces were breaking off, and it was spinning out of control, heading straight for a field of deadly space rocks. Without thinking twice, Lisa grabbed her communication device and tried to contact the mysterious ship. At first, there was only static. Then, slowly, a voice came through. It was weak and filled with pain, speaking in a language Lisa had never heard before. But somehow, through the universal translator on her station, she could understand the words, "Please help us." The voice whispered, "My daughter, she's lost." Lisa's heart started racing. She knew she wasn't supposed to make contact with unknown alien species without permission from Earth Command. The rules were clear about that. But as she watched the beautiful ship getting closer and closer to the dangerous asteroid field, she couldn't just sit there and do nothing. She quickly activated the station's emergency tractor beam, something she had never used before except in training. The beam reached out like an invisible hand and grabbed the alien ship, pulling it slowly toward safety. It took almost 2 hours to bring the vessel close enough to dock with her station. When the airlock finally opened, Lisa wasn't sure what to expect. Would the aliens be dangerous? Would they even be able to breathe the same air? But when the door slid open, she saw something that took her breath away. The being standing before her was unlike anything from Earth, yet somehow familiar. She was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal that glowed softly from within. Her eyes were large and kind, but filled with such sadness that Lisa felt tears forming in her own eyes. This was clearly someone important, someone royal. But right now she was just a mother in terrible pain. The alien woman collapsed as soon as she stepped into the station. Lisa caught her and helped her to the medical bay, using hand gestures and simple words to communicate. Through the translator and broken conversation, Lisa learned that this was Queen Liara of a people called the Zephyrians. She had been traveling through space on a peaceful mission when pirates attacked her convoy. "My daughter," Queen Liara kept saying, her crystal skin flickering like a dying light bulb. "Kaya, my little Kaya." They took her ship. Lisa learned that during the attack, the queen had ordered her daughter's smaller ship to escape while she held off the pirates. But the smaller ship had disappeared completely. No one knew where it had gone or if Princess Kaya was even still alive. The queen had been searching for days, using the last of her ship's power to scan every corner of space she could reach. As Queen Liara told her story, something strange began to happen. Her crystal skin started to dim and fade. She explained that her people were connected to their emotions in a way humans couldn't understand. When they lost hope, they literally began to fade away. Without knowing if her daughter was safe, Queen Liara was dying of grief. "I promised to protect her," the queen whispered, her voice getting weaker. "I promised her father before he passed away that I would keep her safe. Now she's out there alone, probably scared and hurt, and I don't even know where to look anymore." Lisa felt something stir inside her chest. She had lost her own parents when she was young and knew what it felt like to be alone and afraid. She couldn't imagine being a mother and not knowing if her child was okay. Looking at Queen Liara, Lisa saw not an alien ruler, but a mom who was breaking apart inside. "Tell me about these pirates," Lisa said, sitting down next to the Queen's medical bed. Tell me everything you remember about the attack. Queen Liara's eyes flickered with the tiniest spark of hope. She described ships that looked like black metal daggers cutting through space. She called them the Void Reapers, a group of criminals who attacked anyone they thought might be valuable. They stole technology, captured people to sell as slaves, and destroyed anything they couldn't use. The attack had happened near a nebula 3-star systems away. Princess Kai's ship was small and fast, designed for quick escapes, but it only had enough power for a few days of travel. If she was still alive, she could be anywhere in a region of space larger than entire solar systems. The authorities won't help, Queen Liara said sadly. To them, we're just aliens. They don't care about one missing Zephyrian child, Lisa felt, anger building up inside her. She had dedicated her life to studying other forms of life in the universe, hoping that someday humans could make friends with other intelligent species. The idea that anyone would ignore a mother's plea for help just because she was different made Lisa's blood boil. I'll find her, Lisa said quietly. Queen Liara looked at her with surprise. You would do that, but you don't even know us. We're strangers from a world you've never seen. Lisa took the Queen's crystalline hand in her own human one. It felt warm and somehow comforting. You're not strangers, she said. You're a mom who loves her daughter. That's something I understand perfectly. For the first time since arriving at the station, Queen Liara's skin began to glow a little brighter. But even as hope returned to her eyes, Lisa could see that time was running out. The Queen was still very weak, and according to what she had explained about her people, she would only survive as long as she believed her daughter could be saved. Lisa looked out the window of her station at the vast darkness of space, filled with billions of stars and countless places where one small ship could hide. She had no military training, no experience with space pirates, and no idea where to even begin looking. But she had made a promise to a mother, and that was something she intended to keep, no matter what it cost her. I'll bring Kaya home, Lisa said firmly. I promise you that, as Queen Liara finally fell into an exhausted sleep, her crystal form flickering like a candle in the wind. Lisa began planning the most important mission of her life, somewhere out there in the darkness. A young princess was waiting for rescue, and Lisa was determined to be the one to find her. Lisa stared at the star charts spread across her desk, feeling overwhelmed by the impossible task ahead of her. Queen Liara had been sleeping for 2 days now, her crystal form growing dimmer with each passing hour. The Queen's assistant, a wise, old Zephyrian named Elder Thane, had arrived on a rescue ship and confirmed Lisa's worst fears. Without hope, Queen Liara would fade away completely within a week. The Void Reapers controlled dozens of star systems, Elder Thane explained, his own crystal skin flickering with worry. They moved constantly, never staying in one place for long. Finding one small ship among all their hiding spots would be like finding a single grain of sand on all the beaches of your Earth. But Lisa refused to give up. She had spent her entire career studying the universe, and she knew that everything left traces. Even in the vastness of space, there had to be clues that could lead her to Princess Kaya. She started by studying everything she could about Zephyrian technology. Their ships used a special kind of energy that was completely different from human power sources. It was based on the same crystal technology that made up their bodies, and it left behind a unique signature that could be detected by the right equipment. The problem was that human sensors weren't designed to track alien energy signatures. Lisa would have to modify her detection equipment, and she had no idea if it would even work. She spent 3 sleepless days rewiring scanners and recalibrating computers, living on nothing but coffee and determination. When she finally tested her modified scanner, her heart jumped with excitement. There it was, a faint trail of Zephyrian energy leading away from the nebula. Where the attack had happened, the trail was old and weak, but it was definitely there. Lisa knew she couldn't make this journey in her research station. She needed a fast, maneuverable ship that could handle dangerous situations. Using every credit she had saved over the years, she hired a smuggler's vessel called the Silver Comet. The ship's captain, A gruff woman named Captain Rodriguez asked no questions when Lisa paid her in advance. "I don't care what you're looking for out there," Captain Rodriguez said as they prepared to leave. "But that sector of space is crawling with pirates and worse things. You sure you want to do this?" Lisa looked back at the medical bay where Queen Liara lay dying, her light growing weaker every hour. "I'm sure," she said. The first few days of the search were frustrating and dangerous. Lisa followed the energy trail from one star system to another, but it kept getting fainter. Several times, they had to hide from Void Reaper patrol ships, ducking behind asteroids or powering down their engines to avoid detection. At a rundown trading post near the Crimson Belt, Lisa got her first real lead. She had disguised herself as a tech merchant, hoping to blend in with the other traders and criminals who frequented the station. The place was full of smugglers, bounty hunters, and worse. But Lisa forced herself to stay calm and listen to conversations. That's when she overheard two Void Reapers talking at a nearby table. They were bragging about a recent raid where they had captured something valuable, a crystal girl, who was being held at their main base for special buyers. Lisa's heart started pounding, but she kept her expression neutral. She pretended to examine some stolen computer parts while listening to every word. The pirates mentioned that their prisoner was young and kept asking for her mother. It had to be Princess Kaya. But getting information about the Void Reaper's main base was incredibly dangerous. Lisa spent days moving from one seedy cantina to another, carefully asking questions and trading favors for small pieces of information. She learned that the pirates operated from a fortress built inside a massive asteroid called Darkhold Station. It was heavily defended and considered impossible to attack. The more Lisa learned about Darkhold Station, the more hopeless her mission seemed. The fortress had energy shields, weapon platforms, and hundreds of pirates protecting it, even if she could somehow get inside. How would she find one prisoner among all the levels and corridors of the asteroid base? Meanwhile, Captain Rodriguez was getting nervous about spending so much time in pirate territory. "This is insane," she told Lisa one evening as they hid in the shadow of a dead planet. "You're talking about breaking into the most dangerous place in this sector to rescue someone you've never even met. Why are you doing this?" Lisa thought about Queen Liara, slowly dying of grief back at the research station. She thought about Princess Kaya, probably scared and alone in some dark cell, wondering if anyone would ever come for her. "Because someone has to," she said simply. Her breakthrough came from an unexpected source while trading for supplies at another pirate outpost. Lisa met a former Void Reaper who had quit the gang after seeing too much cruelty. He was drunk and bitter, and for the price of a bottle of expensive alien whiskey. He told Lisa something crucial. "They keep the special prisoners in the lower levels," he slurred. His scarred face twisted with disgust. "The boss likes to show them off to buyers before selling them. There's a big gathering coming up in 3 days. All the major crime bosses will be there to bid on the merchandise." Lisa felt sick thinking about Princess Kaya being treated like merchandise. But this information gave her an idea. If all the crime bosses would be at Darkhold Station, security would be focused on protecting the meeting, not watching for a single rescue attempt. She spent the next 2 days preparing for the most dangerous mission of her life. Using her technical skills, she built a small device that could temporarily disrupt the station's power grid. It wouldn't last long, but it might give her enough time to find Princess Kaya and escape. Captain Rodriguez tried one last time to talk her out of it. "You're going to get yourself killed," she said, "and probably me too. If they figure out I brought you here, then don't wait for me," Lisa replied, checking her equipment one final time. "If I'm not back in 6 hours, leave without me." The captain stared at her for a long moment, then shook her head in amazement. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met, or the craziest, maybe both." As they approached Darkhold Station, Lisa could see why it was considered impregnable. The asteroid fortress bristled with weapons and energy shields. Ships came and went through heavily guarded docking bays. The whole place looked like a metal wasp's nest built into solid rock. Lisa put on her disguise, the clothes and identity papers of a weapons dealer. looking to make connections with the crime bosses. Her hands were shaking as she prepared to dock with the station, but her resolve never wavered. Somewhere inside that fortress was a young princess who needed her help, and Lisa had promised to bring her home. "I'm coming, Kaya," she whispered to herself as the silver comet's docking clamps locked onto the station. "Just hold on a little longer." The massive doors of Darkhold Station opened before her like the mouth of some mechanical beast, ready to swallow her whole. But Lisa stepped forward anyway, carrying nothing but her courage, her improvised gadgets, and an unbreakable promise to a dying mother. Lisa's heart was beating so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. As she walked through the corridors of Darkhold Station, the place was even more terrifying on the inside than it looked from space. The walls were made of rough metal welded directly into the asteroid rock, and the air smelled like oil, sweat, and danger. Pirates and criminals filled every hallway, speaking in a dozen different languages and carrying weapons that could probably blow holes through starship hulls. Lisa kept her head down and tried to look like she belonged here, but inside she felt like a sheep walking into a den of wolves. Her fake identity as a weapons dealer was holding up so far. She had spent hours studying how real arms merchants talked and acted, and her forged credentials looked authentic enough to fool a quick scan. But she knew that one wrong word or suspicious gesture could expose her, and then she would never make it out alive. The gathering of crime bosses was taking place in the station's main conference hall, a huge chamber carved right into the heart of the asteroid. Lisa made her way there slowly, stopping to examine weapon displays and chat with other dealers to maintain her cover. Every minute felt like an hour, knowing that Princess Kaya was somewhere in this fortress, probably scared and alone. When she finally reached the conference hall, Lisa was amazed by what she saw. The biggest criminals in the galaxy were all here, sitting around tables covered with expensive food and drinks. They were laughing and making deals like this was some kind of business convention, instead of a gathering of murderers and thieves. At the front of the room, the leader of the Void Reapers, a massive man covered in scars and metal implants, was showing off his latest prizes. Lisa's blood ran cold when she realized what he was talking about. These weren't just stolen goods. They were living beings that the pirates had captured and were planning to sell. And now, the pirate leader announced with a cruel smile, "Our most valuable acquisition, a genuine Zephyrian Royal, perfect for collectors who appreciate rare specimens." Lisa's hands clenched into fists as she watched them bring Princess Kaya onto the stage, like she was nothing more than an object to be sold. The young Zephyrian looked terrible. Her crystal skin, which should have been bright and glowing, was dark and cracked. She could barely stand, and her large eyes were filled with despair. But even in her weakened state, Princess Kaya held her head high with royal dignity. She might be a prisoner, but she refused to let these criminals break her spirit completely. Lisa felt a surge of admiration for the brave young princess, followed immediately by burning anger at the monsters who had done this to her. As the crime bosses began bidding on Princess Kaya, like she was a piece of artwork, Lisa quietly slipped away from the main hall. She had memorized the station's layout from stolen blueprints, and she knew that the holding cells were 3 levels below the conference room. The lower levels of Darkhold Station were even darker and more dangerous than the upper areas. The corridors were narrower, the lighting was poor, and the smell of fear and despair hung in the air like a poisonous fog. Lisa had to move carefully, avoiding patrol guards and security cameras as she made her way toward the prison section. Her modified scanner was picking up faint traces of Zephyrian energy from somewhere ahead. Lisa followed the signal through a maze of corridors until she found a heavily guarded door, marked with warning signs in several languages. This had to be where they kept their most valuable prisoners. There were 2 guards stationed outside the door, both armed with energy weapons that could cut through steel. Lisa knew she couldn't fight them directly. She was a scientist, not a soldier. She would have to be clever instead of strong, pulling out her homemade disruption device. Lisa waited until both guards were looking the other way, then activated it. The gadget sent out a pulse of electromagnetic energy that overloaded the nearby power systems. The lights went out, alarms started blaring, and the door locks disengaged with a loud click. In the chaos and darkness, Lisa slipped past the confused guards and into the prison area. Emergency lighting cast eerie red shadows on the walls as she searched frantically for Princess Kaya. Cell after cell was empty or contained other prisoners, but none of them were the young Zephyrian. Finally, in the last cell at the end of the corridor, Lisa found her. Princess Kaya was sitting in the corner. Her crystal form so dim it was almost invisible in the red emergency light. When she looked up at Lisa, her eyes were filled with suspicion and fear. "Stay away from me, princess," Kaya whispered in her musical Zephyrian voice. "I won't cooperate with any more of your experiments." Lisa's heart broke when she realized that Princess Kaya thought she was another captor. The young princess had been hurt and betrayed so many times that she couldn't trust anyone anymore. "I'm not here to hurt you," Lisa said gently, kneeling down to Princess Kaya's level. "I'm here to take you home to your mother." At the mention of her mother, Princess Kaya's crystal skin flickered with the faintest hint of light. "My mother," she whispered. Is she still alive?" "Yes, but she's very sick with worry about you," Lisa explained quickly, keeping her voice calm despite the alarms still blaring around them. "My name is Lisa, and I promised Queen Liara that I would find you and bring you home safely, princess." Kaya stared at Lisa for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether to believe her. "You're not one of them," she said finally. "You feel different, kinder." "That's right," Lisa said, helping Princess Kaya to her feet. "I'm a friend, and we need to get out of here right now. Can you walk?" Princess Kaya nodded weakly, though Lisa could see it was difficult for her. The young Zephyrian had been through terrible experiences, and her body was weak from poor treatment and despair. But there was still strength in her spirit, the same royal courage that had helped her survive this long. As they made their way back through the darkened corridors, Lisa could hear shouts and running footsteps echoing through the station. The power disruption had caused chaos throughout Darkhold Station, but it wouldn't last much longer. Soon the pirates would restore full power and begin searching for whoever had caused the problem. "This way," Lisa whispered, guiding Princess Kaya through a maintenance tunnel she had spotted on the stolen blueprints. The tunnel was cramped and dirty, but it would help them avoid the main corridors where guards were searching. They crawled through the tunnel for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Behind them, Lisa could hear angry voices and the sound of doors being kicked open as the pirates searched cell by cell. They were running out of time. Finally, they emerged from the tunnel near one of the station's smaller docking bays. Lisa's ship, the Silver Comet, was waiting just a few hundred meters away. But between them and safety stood at least a dozen armed pirates who were blocking all the exits. "How are we going to get past them?" Princess Kaya asked, her voice barely audible. Lisa looked at the young princess, thinking about Queen Liara slowly dying of grief back at the research station. She thought about the promise she had made and about how far she had already come. There was no way she was going to let these criminals stop her now. "Leave that to me," Lisa said with more confidence than she felt, taking Princess Kaya's hand. She stepped out into the docking bay, ready to face whatever dangers lay between them and freedom. Lisa's mind raced as she stared at the armed pirates blocking their path to the Silver Comet. Princess Kaya's hand trembled in hers, and Lisa could feel how weak the young Zephyrian had become during her captivity. There was no way they could fight their way through a dozen heavily armed criminals. Then Lisa remembered something Captain Rodriguez had told her about smugglers' tricks. She pulled out a small device from her pocket, an emergency flare, that she had brought for signaling in case of emergency. But flares weren't just for signaling. They were also incredibly bright and could temporarily blind anyone looking directly at them. "Close your eyes and hold on tight," Lisa whispered to Princess Kaya. Then she activated the flare and threw it as hard as she could into the middle of the docking bay. The flare exploded in a burst of brilliant white light that lit up the entire area like a miniature sun. The pirates shouted in surprise and confusion, covering their eyes and stumbling around blindly. In the chaos, Lisa and Princess Kaya ran as fast as they could toward the silver comet. Captain Rodriguez was waiting at the ship's entrance, her face pale with worry. "I heard the alarms," she said, helping them aboard. "We need to leave now, before they figure out what happened." The silver comet's engines roared to life just as the pirates began to recover from the flash. Lisa could see them pointing in their direction and reaching for their weapons, but it was too late. The ship shot out of the docking bay like a bullet, racing away from Darkhold Station at maximum speed. Behind them, the pirate fortress came alive with activity. Warning sirens blared, and dozens of Void Reaper ships began launching in pursuit. The silver comet was fast, but the pirates had bigger ships with more powerful weapons. "They're gaining on us," Captain Rodriguez called out from the pilot's seat. "This old ship can't outrun their fighters for long." Lisa looked at Princess Kaya, who was slumped in her seat, barely conscious from exhaustion and trauma. The young Zephyrian needed medical attention urgently, but they were still days away from the research station where Queen Liara was waiting. "Can you make it back to my station?" Lisa asked Princess Kaya gently. Princess Kaya's crystal skin flickered. Weakly, "I don't know," she whispered. "I feel so tired, and everything hurts. Those pirates. They did terrible things to try to understand how our technology works. They wanted to know our secrets, but I never told them anything." Lisa felt a surge of admiration for the brave young princess. Despite everything she had been through, Kaya had protected her people's knowledge and never given up hope. But now, Lisa could see that the trauma was taking a serious toll on her body and spirit. The journey back to the research station became a desperate race against time. The Void Reaper ships chased them for 2 whole days before finally giving up and turning back. But even after they were safe from the pirates, Princess Kai's condition continued to get worse. Lisa did everything she could think of to help. She used her knowledge of alien biology to create makeshift treatments, trying to stabilize Princess Kai's crystal-based physiology. But she quickly realized that Zephyrian healing was different. From anything she understood, it wasn't just about fixing physical damage. It was about restoring hope and emotional connection. "Tell me about your mother," Lisa said one evening as they traveled through the quiet darkness of space. Princess Kaya was lying on a medical bed, her crystal form so dim it was barely visible. A tiny smile appeared on Princess Kaya's face. "She's the strongest person I know," she said softly. "When I was little, I used to think she could do anything. She would tell me stories about the old days, when our people first learned to travel between the stars. She always said that the universe was full of wonders waiting to be discovered." As Princess Kaya talked about her mother, Lisa noticed something amazing happening. The young Zephyrian's crystal skin began to glow just a little brighter. It was as if remembering the love and connection with her mother was actually healing her body. "She must be so worried about me," Princess Kaya continued, her voice getting stronger. "I was supposed to be learning diplomacy on this trip. Mother wanted to teach me how to make peace with other species, how to build bridges between different peoples. She always believed that understanding each other was better than fighting." Lisa smiled, thinking about Queen Liara back at the research station. "She sounds like a wise ruler and a wonderful mother. I think you're a lot like her, brave and kind, even when things are scary." Princess Kaya looked at Lisa with curiosity. "Why did you come for me? You don't even know me, and you risked your life to save someone from a completely different world." Lisa thought about the question for a moment. "Because when I saw your mother's pain, I understood it," she said finally. "Love doesn't have boundaries. It doesn't matter if you're human or Zephyrian or anything else. A mother's love for her child is something universal, something that connects all of us." As they got closer to the research station, Princess Kaya grew more excited and more worried at the same time. "What if she's angry with me for getting captured?" she asked. "What if she thinks I failed as a princess?" "Trust me," Lisa said with a warm smile. "The only thing your mother cares about right now is having you home safe." When they finally arrived at the research station, Elder Thane was waiting for them at the docking bay. The old Zephyrian's crystal form blazed with joy. When he saw Princess Kaya alive and safe, "Your Highness," he said with tears in his ancient eyes. "Your mother, she has been waiting for you. She never stopped believing you would come home." They rushed to the medical bay where Queen Liara lay in her grief-induced sleep. The queen's crystal form was so dim now that she looked almost transparent. But the moment Princess Kaya entered the room, something magical happened. "Mother," Princess Kaya whispered, reaching out to touch her mother's hand. The instant their crystal skin made contact, both Zephyrians erupted in brilliant light. The entire medical bay filled with a warm, golden glow that seemed to pulse with life and love. Lisa had to shield her eyes as the light grew brighter and brighter. When the glow finally faded, Queen Liara was sitting up in bed, her crystal form blazing with health and happiness. Princess Kaya was glowing too, her dark, cracked skin now bright and beautiful again. Mother and daughter held each other tightly, both crying tears of pure joy. "My darling daughter," Queen Liara said, her voice full of wonder. "I thought I had lost you forever. I knew you would find a way to bring me home," Princess Kaya replied. "Even when everything seemed hopeless, I never stopped believing in you." Queen Liara looked over at Lisa, who was standing quietly in the corner, smiling through her own tears. "Lisa," the queen said softly, "you kept your promise. You brought my daughter back to me." Lisa nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the Zephyrian light. She had kept her word to a mother, and in doing so, she had discovered something wonderful about the power of love to cross any boundary, even the vast distances between different worlds and different species. 3 days after the joyful reunion, Lisa thought her adventure was over. Queen Liara and Princess Kaya were both healthy and happy, ready to return to their home world. Lisa had kept her promise, and now she could go back to her quiet life of studying stars and space phenomena. But sometimes the universe has bigger plans than we expect. Elder Thane came to Lisa's office with a troubled expression on his ancient face. "There's something you need to know," he said carefully. "During her captivity, Princess Kaya learned some disturbing information about the attack on our diplomatic mission." Princess Kaya joined them, her crystal form still glowing with recovered health but her eyes serious. "The Void Reapers weren't acting alone, Lisa," she explained. "While I was their prisoner, I overheard conversations between the pirate leaders and someone else, someone giving them orders through encrypted communications." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of orders?" "They were specifically told to capture me and eliminate my mother," Princess Kaya continued. "Someone wanted to prevent any alliance between humans and Zephyrians. They were afraid that our technology combined with human innovation would shift the balance of power in the galaxy." Queen Liara's crystal skin flickered with anger. "This means there are humans who see us as a threat rather than potential friends. They hired pirates to destroy any chance of peace between our peoples." Lisa couldn't believe what she was hearing. All her life, she had dreamed of the day when humans would make contact with other intelligent species. The idea that some people would try to prevent that with violence made her sick to her stomach. "We have to find out who was behind this," Lisa said firmly. "If we don't stop them, they'll just try again." Over the next week, Lisa worked with both human and Zephyrian investigators to trace the encrypted communications that Princess Kaya had overheard. Using her technical expertise and the Zephyrians' advanced computers, they slowly pieced together the conspiracy. The trail led to a group of high-ranking human military officers who called themselves the Human Purity Alliance. They believed that contact with alien species would weaken humanity and make Earth vulnerable to invasion. Their leader was Admiral Harrison Webb, a decorated war hero who had spent his entire career fighting to protect human colonies from various threats. Lisa felt torn between loyalty to her own species and doing what was right. Admiral Webb wasn't just some random criminal. He was a respected leader who genuinely believed he was protecting humanity, but his methods were wrong, and innocent people had suffered because of his fears. "What are we going to do?" Lisa asked Queen Liara during one of their planning sessions. "If we expose this conspiracy, it could cause a war between our peoples. Some humans will support Webb's actions, even if they disagree with his methods," Queen Liara was quiet for a long moment, her crystal form pulsing with thought. Princess Kaya has a suggestion, she said finally. Tell her, my daughter. Princess Kaya stepped forward, looking more mature and wise than her young age suggested. I think we should give humanity a choice, she said. Instead of exposing the conspiracy in a way that divides your people, we should present them with evidence of what cooperation between our species can accomplish. Lisa wasn't sure what the princess meant, but Queen Liara's eyes began to glow with excitement. My daughter is suggesting that we demonstrate the benefits of humans-Ephrian partnership. Before revealing the plot against us, show your people what they will lose if fear and hatred win. Working together, Lisa and the Zephyrians developed a plan that was both bold and brilliant. They would establish a joint research station at the border between human and Zephyrian space, where scientists from both species could work together on projects that would benefit everyone. The research station became a symbol of what was possible when different peoples chose cooperation over conflict. Human creativity combined with Zephyrian technology led to amazing discoveries, new medical treatments, clean energy sources, and communication systems that could reach across vast distances. News of the successful partnership spread throughout both human and Zephyrian space. People on both sides began to see the potential for friendship rather than fear. Support for Admiral Webb's isolationist policies started to crumble as more and more humans saw the benefits of working with their alien neighbors. When Lisa finally presented the evidence of Webb's conspiracy to the human authorities, the response was swift and decisive. The Admiral and his co-conspirators were arrested and put on trial for hiring pirates and attempting to start a war. Most humans were horrified to learn that their own leaders had been behind the attacks on innocent Zephyrians. During the trial, Admiral Webb defended his actions by claiming he was protecting humanity from an alien threat. But Princess Kaya's testimony changed everything. She spoke about her time as a prisoner, describing not just the physical pain, but the emotional trauma of being treated as less than human by the pirates. Admiral Webb never met my mother or me, Princess Kaya said to the court. He made decisions about our entire species based on fear and assumptions. But Lisa, Dr. Lisa Park, she looked beyond our differences and saw us as people worth saving. That's the kind of human I want representing your species to the galaxy. The court found Admiral Webb guilty of war crimes and conspiracy. But more importantly, the trial became a turning point in humans-Ephrian relations. Instead of creating division, the revelation of the conspiracy actually brought the two species closer together as they worked to prevent such hatred from taking root again. Queen Liara officially appointed Lisa as the first human ambassador to the Zephyrian Empire. It was an honor that had never been given to any non-Zephyrian before. During the ceremony, Princess Kaya made a speech that brought tears to everyone's eyes. Lisa didn't just save my life, the young princess declared to the assembled crowd of humans and Zephyrians. She saved the future of both our peoples. When she promised my mother that she would bring me home, she was really promising to bring hope back to all of us. Queen Liara stepped forward and took Lisa's hands in her own crystalline ones. In our culture, we have a special bond that we call chosen family, she explained. It's reserved for those who prove their love through actions, not just words. Lisa, you are now and forever our chosen family. You are a daughter to me and a sister to Kaya. The ceremony concluded with something that had never happened before in recorded history. A human being welcomed into a royal alien family as an equal. Lisa felt overwhelmed by the honor, but also by the responsibility that came with it. Years later, Lisa's rescue of Princess Kaya became a legendary story told on worlds throughout the galaxy. The joint research station grew into a thriving community, where humans and Zephyrians lived and worked together in harmony. Princess Kaya, now known as Kaya the Bridge Builder, established schools where children from both species learned about each other's cultures. But for Lisa, the most meaningful part of the whole experience wasn't the fame or the honors. It was the simple knowledge that she had kept a promise to a grieving mother, and in doing so, had helped create a better future for everyone. Sometimes, When Lisa looked up at the stars from her new home at the border station, she remembered that desperate night when Queen Liara had first asked for her help. She had no idea then that one act of compassion would change the course of history for two entire civilizations. As Princess Kai often said in her speeches about interspecies cooperation, family isn't about where you come from or what you look like. It's about the choices you make to protect and love each other, no matter how different you might seem on the surface.